Stay on the line. I used to think a 911 center was too practical to be haunted. Headsets, maps, clocks that agree, policy laminated at every elbow. I'm 25, the overnight call taker at a county PSAP wedged between a jail and a water tower. My job is simple. Verify the address twice, never promise outcomes, keep the caller on until units make contact, and never disconnect a silent open line. Treat it like someone's last chance. The tape is forever, my supervisor says. Make it think you did it right. This is a composite of real things we handle. Abandoned calls that ring back, Phase 2 locations that drift, elevator phones that dial by themselves, people too scared or unable to speak. None of that is folklore. It's in training tapes and logs. The other part is what happened on a Thursday that decided to be longer than most. By 11:08 p.m., the board was a Christmas tree that had calmed down. The ALI printer, the little thermal one that spits the location, hit, chattered, and spat an extra strip. Do not hang up, no callback number, in ghost gray along the edge. 3:03 a.m. The wall clock said 11:09. I taped the strip to my monitor because paper makes superstition behave. The first odd call was almost polite. Wireless Phase 2, no voice, open line. I did what you do. 911, what is the address of your emergency? Nothing. Just room air and a tiny tap-tap near the mic like a fingernail testing a glass. I tried TTY tones in case someone needed text. No response. The map put the phone somewhere I know too well. The trailhead lot by Red Maple, which is closed at dusk. We get pocket dials there from joggers all the time in daylight. At night, you treat it like not a joke. I sent a routine patrol check and stayed on the line. 38 seconds in, the open line exhaled like a person who'd been holding their breath, and a careful voice, slow, like each word was lowered into place by hand, said, "Don't hang up." Not a whisper, not a shout, like museum audio. Then the silent room behind it again, the kind you can taste, coins and drywall. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, and logged unknown voice advises not to disconnect. Because the tape likes to hear you write things down, the CAD clock hiccuped. Tomois 3, Gansu, and back to 11:17. So fast I almost convinced myself I hadn't seen it. The officer rolled through the lot, nothing found, texted me ghost call with a shrug emoji. The open line stayed open. The ALI bounced once to a point 200 yards into the woods, and back to the lot like a hand choosing a direction. Line 2 rang. A hang-up, no ringback, elevator phone at the county museum. They do that in storms. This was dry. I called the after-hours contact and got voicemail. The ALI printer spit a strip into my palm. Leave open line connected. Damp at the edges, like words that sweated. At 11:31, a call routed from a deactivated handset. 911 only, no callback. "What is the address of your emergency?" I said, because the script is the only spell we know. A child's voice, thin with the tired the day puts into kids, said a name that matches a flyer I wish I didn't know. That case is real. It belongs to another county. Everyone shares the picture anyway. "Where are you?" I asked. My waveform showed breath, but no words. Then the patient voice again. "Keep them on." The supervisor's door was open. Ms. Diaz stood in it, arms folded, listening without looking like she was listening. She's done this long enough to know when a night intends to be a test. "Silent?" she mouthed. I nodded. She pointed at the sign that says, "Verify location twice," and walked away like a priest touching a pew. Midnight rolled in, and the room changed its mind about noise. Not quieter. Aligned. HVAC, backup fans, the tiny transformer hum in the radio console all breathed on the same beat. The elevator at the museum dialed us again. When I answered, the line played our own recorded, "Your call has been answered. Do not hang up." Those systems are supposed to be simplex. We don't get our own voice back. Line 4 rang. A neighbor reporting knocking in the hall of an apartment building. 2 taps at exact intervals, moving door to door. She sounded embarrassed. "Probably a prank," she said, like she wanted permission to go to bed. "I sent a unit because you do, And because we all live in buildings that learn rhythm after midnight, the open line from the trail lot, yes, still open, breathed again. Tap tap windows on glass, measured. The map recentered itself on the fire road and then corrected as if caught lying. My headset plastic felt cooler against my ear, like someone had opened a door in the room I wasn't in. At 12:23, the console flashed, wireless callback, like it would show a number. It didn't. The text to 911 feed piped in a single message from where a number should be. Don T. hang up. I typed back, 911, can you text your location? And watched the typing ellipsis hold steady for a full minute like a small weather system. The ALI printer coughed again. Leave the line. The corner of the strip had a thumb smear I hadn't made. The CAD clock blinked to 3:13 and back. The board lit. Line 3 and stayed lit, steady, like an eye. We have a superstition about line 3 after midnight that I won't pretend started tonight. I didn't take it. I stayed with the open line. In the silence, way back in the room where the phone lived, came a whistle. 2 notes the way search teams are trained to use, the right pitch, a beat late. Do not answer whistles, Ms. Diaz says in training, and you think she's joking until she's not. Can you press any button? I asked the air. Somewhere near the mic. 2 taps landed on glass. At 12:41, the museum elevator called a 3rd time. This time the recording in my ear wasn't our center's. It was the same patient voice that had been dropping words into the other line. Leave. It. Connected. I logged the quote and hated how my hand spelled it without asking me. A new call dumped to me. Noise complaint, basement of a duplex, water hammer, knocking twice, child awake and crying because the pipes were talking. Real call, real address, real exhaustion in a mother's voice. I sent PD to make the neighbor feel seen and coached her through the trick of cracking the faucet. The knock stopped on her end. On mine, the open line tapped back like echo with opinions. At 1:06, the radio console hiccuped and played a fragment from our training folder over the fire channel. Do not disconnect silent 911s. Treat them as urgent until confirmed. I hadn't touched the mouse. The firefighters out in the bunk room never mentioned hearing it. It lived in our speakers only, like a rumor. Line 2, elevator, rang again. I let it go to voicemail and watched the transcription fill. Stay on the line, in my own neat trained cadence. The ALI record for the elevator showed where the callback number goes and floor. Like a building forgetting it has height. On the trail lot line, a breath landed near the mic like a hand laid flat on glass, and I heard very softly a second mouth, mine, say, I'm here. I didn't say it. The tape will say I did. At 1:41, the room stopped pretending it was calm. The neighbor with the hallway knocks called back to say the tapping had moved to the stairwell and stayed 2 steps ahead of her husband no matter how fast he walked it. Tell him to go back inside and lock his door, I said. Stairs and midnight make stupid friends. It's not a policy sentence. It's one you grow by knowing your own building. The open line from the lot had been up for 2 hours. By policy, you can't force a disconnect. By superstition, you don't want to. Ms. Diaz set a fresh cup of coffee by my elbow without pretending to be casual. Still on? She asked. Yeah. Good. The tape is forever. At 3:13, because some hours volunteer, every handset in the room buzzed twice like a phone on a table. The open line clicked, and the careful voice, patient as a rule, said its last words of the night. Leave. It. Connected. Then the line died clean. Not a drop, not a fade, like a switch that remembered what off is. The ALI catched the last hit, the trail lot. The officers were there already on something else, a stuck car, a boyfriend who needed to be convinced that midnight is not a noble hour. They checked the woods one more time, spotlighted trees, found nothing that explained anything. Morning stretched its back. The dispatcher I like to trade jokes with came in with a thermos that could keep soup honest. Quiet? She asked. Mostly, I said, and slid her the damp-edged strips. She frowned at do not hang up like it was a new statute. Printer's old, Ms. Diaz said. The same manager spell everyone learns. 2 days later, a neighboring county put out a statement about the elevator calls at the museum. A wiring fault, they said. System dialing itself. Real thing. Happens. I believed them. I also didn't, though. On the same day, a hiker posted a video of whistles in the woods at the trail by Red Maple. The comments argued about birds. Real thing. Happens. I moved to days a month later. I tell people it's for the sunlight and the commute. Nights at home, my phone sometimes lights at 3.13 with unknown caller. And when I let it go to voicemail, the transcript arrives with nothing but "stay on the line," typed in a font that looks like my training notes. The apartment's pipes knock twice on the wall like a polite borrower. The hallway outside my door gathers a breath the way rooms do before the elevator down the street decides. When it does, I keep my hand off the hang-up square and say, in the steady voice the console taught me, 911, I'm here. I'm staying on the line. For a long, thin moment, the room breathes with me. A cool. Palm-inch of air presses close to my ear, as if a mouth were learning to say the first half of "you done tet," and wasn't sure I'd let it. Then the screen dims, the pipes remember water, the hour lets go of its name, and whatever has been practicing my voice chooses a center with worse policy and leaves me to answer calls I can write down. If you survived this far, leave your like to prove you are not afraid.